Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, a major downpour exposes lapses in the construction of the Juba-Rumbek Highway, raising alarm about the quality of roads projects in the country. Joining us to speak about this and more is Honorable Simon Mijok, Minister of Roads and Bridges. Our pleasure to welcome him to Fixing South Sudan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Madinor. It's a pleasure to be with you here.
So let's talk about this oil for infrastructure policy, which has brought about many roads projects in the country. Is a major development, and we'll get to the specifics about what is happening in recent days. But tell us about the policy.
Thank you once again. I'm happy to be here with you. The policy was a U-turn from His Excellency, the President of the Republic. If we go back to 2012, much has been done to get loans for road infrastructure. During his visit to China in 2018, he made a statement that South Sudan will use oil proceeds for infrastructure, and on top, the road infrastructure. So this is a U-turn, and as a result of that, 10,000 barrels was allocated to Juba-Rumbek Road per day. Let's make up the lifting after 2 months. That's 600,000 barrels for a small tanker, because there are bigger ones with above million.
As a result of the statement, there is the crude is going to be used to pay for the road projects. Can you maybe tell us about the road projects that are part of that policy?
As I've just mentioned, Juba-Rumbek Road, Juba-Bor, Ayut, Sobat, Malakal, Rang. Then also we have Juba-Torit up to our border with Kenya.
So most of the major projects will be financed through the crude?
Yes, the statement, as I'm speaking, still the policy is being drafted, but the implementation has gone ahead. The statement of His Excellency was, to my interpretation, was a kind of guarantee, because maybe when you get the loan, you don't get it 100%. There's a local component. For example, the Chinese offer 85%. So it was a kind of guarantee to back up our sovereign guarantee. So that is, so these 3 projects, including urban roads of Juba and Luri Bridge, there will be some difficulties ahead in terms of cash flow. Because when you have a project, you need to have continuous cash flow to avoid the laying down of tools. So these are the major. These projects fall in line within the priorities of the Ministry of Roads and Bridges to construct the highway, because we have three types of roads. We have the highway, that is interstate highway, and on top we have two roads, we call them N1 and N2. N1 from Nimuli up to Rang, and N2 from our border with Kenya up to Abia. These two major roads, if we talk today of 10 states, they connect 7 states. And the other 3 states, we have the junction of A35 in Rumbek to Bentiu. We have A70 from Mundri to Yamio up to Tambora. Then we have A25, which actually runs from Tambora up to Awil to the border with Sudan.
So you have a master plan.
Yes.
And you have began to implement some of the projects under that. We can talk briefly about the other projects, but let me zoom in on the Juba-Rumbek highway, which has been the talk of the week because of the heavy rains that have happened to affect the state of the roads. Tell me about that. You talked about the crude allocation to whom? Who is the contractor that we are speaking about here?
The contractors, we have Shandong High Speed, it's a Chinese firm. It's contracted for Juba-Rumbek. And we have African Resources Corporation, which is known as ARC. It's contracted for Juba-Bor and from Bor Ayot up to Rang. It is in phases. So phase 1 now is Juba-Bor. We have a company called Winner. Winner has been contracted for Juba to Rit. We have another contract which was actually meant to be funded through a loan from Egypt, that is Juba EA Kaya. As for the lifting, for example, Juba-Rumbek, the account was opened in China. And it is being run by both the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of South Sudan. The rest of projects are being paid locally here in South Sudan.
For the one managed by the Ministry of Finance and Central Bank, how does it work and what is your role?
Normally, a IPC interim certificate is submitted by the company to the ministry. And then the process goes through the Ministry of Finance, and then it ends up with the Bank of South Sudan to pay.
Okay, and let's talk about making the roads, because that is your key domain. And so talking about this major highway, this Juba-Rumbek highway that has been a talk because the rain rained and it affected the asphalt that was put on the road, in fact washed away most of the roads, and there are a lot of questions that are being raised. First of all, can you tell us about that project and how it came about? You said that the president visited China, and then how did the contractor came about?
The contract was signed last year on 25th of March, 2019. And by then I was not in the ministry, but I learned it was single sourcing, because Shandong High earlier was given some document like MOU and commercial agreement. The first MOU was signed in March 2011, even before our independence. And the idea was that to get loans from China. And maybe you are aware of, you remember you asked me when you were still outside the country about the road funding. That aspiration and expectation didn't materialize. And roads was listed according to the resolutions of the Council of Ministers. There will be the top, followed by other infrastructure, because we have power or the other transport sector, plus the telecommunication and the rest. So in 2014, a resolution was made by the cabinet that the expectation, based on assurances from China embassy and the company itself, that 1 billion is going to be sure. And that's why 2 projects were launched. The telecom project was launched in December 2014, and the road was launched. It was based on assurances that 1 billion is coming, and a big part is going for the road. That expectation also, again, didn't materialize. And I think it went on up to the visit of His Excellency, the President. It was not part of the discussion, but Shandong was, based on the document provided by the Ministry of Roads. This is how it came about. But the idea was to have EPC contract in engineering, procurement, and construction. So based on that, they did a design. And when I came in, I was assured that the design has been passed, which I'm now ordering. I've already ordered to review it again.
Let's come back to the issue of the design. So the design was done by the company.
Yes.
And is being implemented by the company.
Yes.
And it was done while you were still outside. And the result of that is what we have seen recently.
Yes.
And based on that, you are ordering a review.
Yeah, a review for the design, because it is clear it is a failure of the design. So not only the design, even the environmental assessment impact, plus hydrological data, all the review will be put, and hopefully will correct what is happening.
So this brings us back to, this reboots the whole process. It takes us back to the very beginning, because the way these projects are done, there has to be a consultant contracted. How are you going with that? And is that part of the change that is going to come in?
Yes, definitely. And even now, I've engaged a consultant. Our decision was that we go for international bidding, but because of this pandemic, we couldn't have access to do that. But the project is on. So what I did, I asked from my colleague, the Minister of Finance, to give us a go-ahead to engage a consultant so that we captured the damage which is being done now. Because in my statement, it is unless I'm proved wrong later, there is a clear indication that the company knows, because they damped the river to 3 meters level.
300 meters?
3 meters. And that's why there was overflow. That means they know that there is massive water which is going. So what happened, this dumping created a lake. It's like a dam. as if we were building a dam, not a road. So it is a clear failure of the design, and I've already ordered for the review. And not only the people in my ministry, I'm going to put on board independent consultants and even representative of South Sudan Engineering Council, representative of the School of Engineering, University of Juba, so that they give us, and from there, definitely, it will lead us to other more review. And it will not be only Juba Board, Juba Rumbek, all the projects, including urban roads, we have put in place now consultant for every project, plus our managing team from the ministry. Because earlier it used to be one or two engineers are assigned by the ministry, and the performance was not to our expectation. So this time around, we have three categories in one. We have the engineering aspect. You will have structural engineers for bridges, quantity engineers, surveyors, and road supervisors. The second group are environmentalists and safety. And the third is quality assurance. The 5 projects have now managing team separately, plus the consultant. In the long run, when the consultant get in, the role of the managing team will reduce. It will be the work of consultant, because also we want to build our capacity, the capacity of our engineers, by attaching them to the projects so that they get more knowledge.
Minister, we are talking about signature policy of the government of the Republic of South Sudan, talking about millions of dollars of taxpayers' money, and no due diligence is done. It seems that now you have to do a complete overhaul because you have not been in control. Why do you think everything has been done without following due diligence?
As I just mentioned earlier, we were running gravel roads projects, and most of the supervision was being done by our engineers. There was no consultant. It's the first time to introduce a consultant, and this is the important aspect of running the project, because it may lead us to conflicts of interest if you don't have a consultant. So earlier, there is a failure here, because any project, you must have 3 elements. You have the contractor, you have the employer, and a consultant. And the review of design should have effected earlier before the implementation.
Design and many
and
reports
everything
prepared.
Reports.
Okay, so now the consultants are going to rectify this situation. And you are mentioning the fact that there is a pandemic, and so it seems that you are going to single source the consultancies.
Yes, I got the approval from Minister of Finance according to procurement law, because the projects are on. And the more you leave them, there are possibility of damage, like what happened in...
The quality of consultant will determine the quality of road projects. So tell me about the consultant that you are thinking of.
They are national South Sudanese, and I believe that we have the knowledge. And not only that, we will engage other more institutions and bodies to review all what we have done in the ministry. Like what I just mentioned, the body, we include the other party to review the design, and even the bill of quantity will also come in, because the more you have more bridges, the more you add. And I'm a servant sent to the market to buy the best, the people of South Sudan. And that's why I took upon myself the responsibility. Maybe people will talk, this kilometer is very expensive, but taking into consideration many aspects of the road construction in South Sudan, and it is a first for its kind in our history. That means I consider as a minister, we are not building only just road. I consider them as blood compensation for our liberation, the martyrs and the veterans who are living.
You tell us about the cost, because people don't know the contractual value, or at least the initial value, because it seems that the contract is going to change with the re-engineering.
Yes.
The value is going to change. For specifically on this Juba-Rumbek highway, what is the cost of the project?
The cost is $711,125,000 USD. And I believe...
Duration?
United States dollars.
And the duration?
3 years.
The length?
The length is 397, but we round up to be 400 because we will have a diversion, ring road. We will not allow the road to pass through Rumbek town. So it is roughly 400 kilometers.
Many citizens, they have a lot of concerns, one of whom is that the lanes are very narrow. If we talk about a major highway, they expect 4 lanes coming on this side and 4 lanes going on the other side. What determines what we got?
What determined we are going to have double carriageway, 2 lane, and the area is, or the terrain of the road passes through many streams or rivers. For example, just start with Luri here. We have almost 4 kilometers, which needed to be a bridge, not a dumping. The same if you go to Kuda, it is also a river. We are constructing a bridge on Luri. How can we fail not to do it here? It's the same river, which is taking the life of dear ones.
Yeah, you know, there are a lot of concerns about this road. People are saying quality, not quantity. And you know, when they hear of Shandong high speed, it's from China, they think it is substandard. And they are saying, what is the quality of the road? If the quality of road was good, it would have not been washed away immediately.
To be frank, what was constructed as a ministry, we direct a company for testing. And also the construction itself, the material, even the compaction. We have a report on it, because from here up to Kilo 17, when I came in, the company started constructing camps and at the same time beginning the work, which has a lot of implications.
It was rushed.
Yeah. So what we are doing is to save the rest of the road. And the review will tell us many things. There are not only the design, we have also part of contractual management. Number 3, we are even questioning the capacity of the company. And I have ordered the submission of all the credentials of Chinese who are working, and even the South Sudanese with the company. You might have seen in the social media that advocation for the road was not from the ministry. The company itself did it, and we have stopped it because it is misleading. Sometimes you get some footages from different area, and we don't want our people to be misled.
So you are saying that you had concerns all along, but it took the rain for you to bring your concerns for the public consumption.
No, they were there, and it's because of the current situation. Otherwise, we would have conduct a review, because you might have seen during my visits to the projects, you will find a representative of South Sudan Engineering, University of Juba School of Engineering, and other independent engineers to go and see for themselves. So that when we sit, and some have even started putting their comments. So it was not only rain, but the concern throughout have been there. How will this dumping survive the rain? Because the type of culverts they are doing, I've never seen in my life.
And you couldn't say that as the minister in
No,
charge of the project. You couldn't tell the contractor.
I've already told them. It is only publicly.
And you did not have the power to impact on the work.
The power is there, and maybe some of their work, they start to adhere to the ministry, because they started at rush, and even the camp were not prepared for the workers, which caused us a lot of intervention, because workers were on strike. At the same time, you might have had issues of construction material. Yeah. All these, even telecommunication, where they have put their camp at Kilo 17, there was no network coverage. Plus other challenges with the. All in all, they started the work, and we captured them not to go ahead with the current work, because we need to review the design. Because last year, the same thing happened. The road was cut off, overflowing happened. It's because of the type of the corrugated drainage they have done on the road.
So they were privy to that report, and it was not factored in. The fact that last year a similar occurrence happened, and it was not factored in as in the.
Yeah, they were carrying this design as a book, which they were not accepting to be reviewed, but we have forced them to because we are the client. They said it has already been passed, and everything is. But for us in the ministry, we have a concern and we are the client. So they have accepted our decision to review the design, and not only the design, it will ultimately go to the bill of quantity, even the contract.
And Minister, there's a lot that you are not saying. Mm-hmm. So you will review the design, the engineering. Do you also put on the table possibility of reviewing even the contractor?
Yes.
And how does this information affect all the road projects in the country? You have said that the experience has been challenged, and so now you have to bring in qualified consultants, but you're talking about a local consultant for major roads.
A consultant is a consultant. After all, it doesn't have a color, just a capacity of doing the job. So I'm confident that these local consultants, they have their own joint ventures. And we engage them for 10 months because our expectation was that if it was not this coronavirus, we would have gone for international bidding.
But this has been the case all along. Even I can tell you some of the people that were consulted, Professor Maina and others, these are respected, qualified consultants in the region, and you are not able to reach them.
That would have been the work of the procurement committee, because I will not invite them as individuals, but they will be invited as a firm, come and that was our expectation. But we want to capture the damage because projects are on, and especially Juba Rumbek Road. It's most challenging compared to Juba Bor or Juba Ye. I don't have many challenges on those roads, but the one being implemented by Chinese is the one which is having a lot of concern about the design.
Now, people still accept the fact that there has to be infrastructure in place. The roads are important for our economy. And so going forward, you are saying the whole process has to come back to be centralized under the ministry. There have been many players, but now going forward, you are going to take full responsibility for the success or failures of the projects.
Yeah, this is what I said in my statement, that I will commit myself to make it better. Out of all these challenges, I'm confident that we will come out with the best offer to the people of South Sudan, because the mandate of the ministry is to construct roads for the welfare and livelihood of the people of South Sudan. And as I've said also, we are not constructing just roads. We want to have the best. However, the cost might be, but you have in the market different types, the cheapest but as a minister, I'm eyeing on the best, where the people of South Sudan will feel that they have the best offer and the latest in terms of construction. This is the first of its kind in the country to build an asphalt road. And there are a lot of concern in terms of design and the location of our country. We fall in the valley, so the flow of water will come from the highlands of Congo and the same from the highland of Ethiopia, and also the Great Lakes, and it must be factored in the design.
The review that you have ordered will affect not only Shandong, but all the companies. Is that the understanding?
For the rest of projects, there are not much challenges. They are minimum.
Same hydrological conditions. It's only that they have not paved the road yet. So as far as the design is concerned, you did not have a centralized way of approving the design. So that is what you are going to put in place.
Yes.
And so there will be a comprehensive review, and all the roads will follow international standards. What about the cost?
Yeah, the cost, as I've said, we have the international and the regional costing. You might have been hearing in the region. And all of us, we have been in the region.
How much per kilometer?
It depends on the haulage and the terrain. You have different black cotton soil, the mountainous
What is being
gravel.
used now in the Rumbek-Juba highway? Juba-Rumbek highway.
Is, if you calculate to 711, it will give you 1.8.
And that is the highest in the region.
Is the highest.
And others are arguing it should be the cheapest here rather than the other way around.
Yes.
And what accounts for the loophole?
It will appear in the review.
Minister, are you fixing South Sudan?
I'm fixing.
Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you very much.
Public 2011